Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame fam, fantasy baseball players. Another week pretty much in the books. I think we got one game going on right now. But other than that, another week in the book. And you know what that means? That's in the rearview mirror. We got to look forward. We're going to get you ready for some two-start streamers. And Pierre, it looks like a pretty good two-start streaming week this week.
It is. We're kind of finally back in the groove, after the All-Star break schedules and things are weird and guys skip starts and then the trade deadline and, all hell breaks loose. And now it's like back to kind of just routine, normalcy. And we have some good pitchers set up who actually are mostly available. Although you would think in competitive leagues, a lot of these guys are taken and some are, but some still aren't. Sometimes it boggles my mind. The first guy we're going to talk about, I honestly, I don't even know. Like the one thing I will say before we get into the actual pitchers is the downside to fantasy baseball compared to some other sports because the season is so long. By this point, some people just check out, right? They don't set their lineups or they're not adding or dropping. And so you'll see it's a little misleading when you see like, oh, only 50% of Yahoo teams. That's because like 30% aren't really doing any ads, right? They're not active. But hey, that could work to your advantage because if some of those other teams, especially if they're down in dumps that need help, they're not making moves. That means some players who you might not expect to be available could actually be available. So you always got to check.
Always got to check. And speaking of that first guy, how is it that a pitcher since June 9th has yet to give up more than 3 earned runs in any start? Has gone 6 or more innings in all but 2 of those starts. And we're talking, 11, 12 starts over this stretch? Talking about Brian Bello, who's been on fire the last couple months. Still somehow only 50% owned, and he gets a good schedule this week. He gets the Royals. That shouldn't scare me. Really, nothing scares me when I got Brian Bello. I mean, nothing scares me when this guy pitches anymore. It doesn't matter. The Cubs, the Dodgers, I don't care. The Yankees, last time he faced the Yankees, 7 innings, a shutout. Like, yeah, nothing scares me about this guy. But he does get a good schedule. Royals and the Padres. I know the Padres are kind of starting to hit again, but that doesn't scare me. I mean, okay, I get it. Not everybody's playing right now, but come on. 50%?
Yeah, I don't know what else. What are you waiting for? The schedule almost doesn't even matter, like you said, but it happens to be a pretty good schedule. Royals, Padres, teams that were slumping big time in the first half. Yeah, they've both picked it up now, but still, it just doesn't matter. So I think it's time we just say this is Bello's having his breakout season. And if you have a breakout young pitcher who's doing what he's doing and not just, throwing those quality starts and limiting damage, but he's eating up a lot of innings. He had a complete game the other day. He'll go 7 innings, right? Yeah. Not just, barely the 6. Yeah, I mean, what else do you need to say? There's no reason he should really be available unless it's like an 18 league. Okay, maybe, but Bello should just be rostered everywhere.
Yeah, then another guy, and what's interesting to me about this next guy we're going to talk about is his rostership percentage is 12% higher than Bello. I don't even know why, like based purely on what he can do or what we're expecting him to do. Look, Sean Manaea has been solid since he's been back, right? He's only given up 4 earned runs in 17 innings. He's got 22 strikeouts. But, I mean, he hasn't been quite to the level of Bello here. Now, I get he's still ramping up, but he does also get a good schedule this week. The Guardians, the Brewers. I feel like the Brewers are one of those teams that, like, they either can get shut out or they can randomly show up and hit the ball, like world beaters. But my question about Sean Manaea is, do we finally see this guy go 6 innings?
This might be the week. And like to answer your first question with Manaea, why everybody's on him, it's with the Mets. New York, the big city. Everybody knows him, big market. It's just a fact. Not that Bello is in a small market team or anything like the Red Sox, but still, New York, Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, there's just always a lot more hype. Manaea was really good all last year too. Bello hasn't been, so that's also the difference. So Manaea is just getting back into it. We're, I think, going to finally start to see, what he was doing last year. Just a solid, not super exciting, not a guy who's going to strike out a ton of batters, nothing crazy, but very solid veteran pitcher. It's really actually a sneakily bad schedule because the Guardians, even though they have been bad most of the first half offensively, especially right before the first half, ever since the All-Star break, have just decided to be on fire. And the Brewers have been pretty hot lately. So even though I don't love the schedule, I do feel like we should probably trust him a little bit more than some of the other pitchers that we're about to get to.
All right, maybe trust him more than a guy like Michael Soroka, who is now a Chicago Cub and will make his first start this week as a Cub. In fact, he'll make his first 2 starts this week as a Cub. And he's got fantastic matchups. The Reds, now the Reds do have a nice lineup, but this is the Reds in Chicago. The Reds do not hit nearly as well away from Great American Ballpark as they do in the Great American Ballpark. And then you get the Cardinals. That shouldn't scare you at all. Now, when you look at Soroka on the season, it hasn't really been great. He is a good strike. He does have a good strikeout rate. Ratio's not great, but now he's out on the Cubs. I mean, definitely a good chance for wins here, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This is with Soroka. I don't trust really. I haven't ever been high on him, but his schedule is really good. The Reds and the Cardinals. So we'll see how he performs. I mean, there wasn't even a guarantee he was going to be in the rotation for the Cubs because they could use maybe him as a long reliever or something, but they didn't go all out in terms of adding. I thought they would get like a Mitch Keller or somebody else in the rotation. They just got Soroka. They I guess decided what they had was good enough. We'll see. So I can't say I trust Soroka much, but the matchups are too good, and being on the Cubs, it does help.
Definitely helps. And now let's go to a guy who, was off to a red hot start this year and then just completely seemed to lose it. But he's kind of regained his form a little bit. If you take out the last start where Brandon Pfaadt gave up 7 runs in 4 2/3 innings to the Tigers. But I mean, prior to that, he had 3 of the last 4 games. He had gone at least 6 innings. He had only given up 4 earned runs in his prior 3 starts to that, and he does get a good schedule this week. Again, the Padres have been hitting better, but they're not like a crazy lineup to face. And then the Rockies on the road is always fantastic matchup. So the question is, which Brandon Pfaadt are we getting this week?
Well, your guess is really as good as mine on this one because that's the thing. He's one of those pitchers just when you thought he was kind of figuring it out. No. So Pfaadt is going to be hard to trust, period. He's really had a disappointing season. I mean, there's no way else you can slice it. And so only because the schedule is he this high, and the Padres are starting to hit better, but even despite the fact that, and they did obviously add a lot of help at the trade deadline, and including on offense, still since the All-Star break, they've hit the fewest home runs out of any team. And so this is maybe not the type of matchup where he'll get completely rocked, but he could do it to himself too. He's on here this high because he gets the Rockies second. So yeah. This is another guy, honestly, I think his ownership rate is as high as it is at like 65%, just because a lot of people drafted him and they just didn't ever bother to drop him.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. Now another pitcher a lot of people drafted and maybe didn't bother to drop, but he's kind of been, is good, and people were hoping he got traded, but he didn't. That's Sandy Alcantara of your Marlins. 2 starts in a row without giving up an earned run. But he's still a Marlin. So is the motivation gone? And also, Astros, Braves, not great on paper, although they do have some banged up lineups, like the Braves are going to be without Acuna. So again, I think kind of the same question here. What Sandy Alcantara do we get this week?
I mean, is he happy that he's still in Miami? I don't know if he likes it there. I mean, the weather's great, but the team, hey, you know what? Okay, let's give the Marlins a little bit of credit. They're at least fighting their way to like 500. I still don't believe they'll actually make the playoffs, and even if they do, it doesn't matter much. But he's still there. He's still their ace. I'm curious. This one, I really have no idea how he's going to show up. Maybe the fact that they're not talking about trading him. There's no pressure, right? There's no worry about, am I going to be here? Am I not going to be? Maybe he's just going to be pressure free now. I don't know. He's a risky streamer. There's no way to slice it. He's super risky because when he's good, he's really good still. And we see flashes of the old Sandy. When he's bad, he's really bad. So the only reason I think he's not farther down on this list because the risk factors. Yeah, the Astros Braves on paper doesn't sound like a good week, but remember, these are teams that are definitely banged up, a lot of injuries to their offensive players. They're both missing their best offensive players still. So I think he can get by this week.
All right. And now a guy I am streaming with confidence this week, so it means he'll probably get rocked in both the starts, is Luis Severino of the Athletics. Not a guy that jumped. I can't throw any stats out to you about like, oh my gosh, all this, all that. He's just kind of been whatever this year. But what I like about him this week is, first of all, two great matchups, the Nationals and the Orioles. Neither of those lineups scare me, but even better, they're both on the road away from that Athletics minor league field. So, Luis Severino on the road against two bad lineups. He's going to make it happen this week, right?
Why not? I mean, I think he will. We know this home road split. I talked up a lot. Now, of course, several weeks ago, I talked up probably too much because then, sure enough, he had these road games. I was like, oh, you got to start him, and he got lit up. But he's still much better on the road, not in that minor league ballpark. And come on, the Nats, still a team that has a hard time hitting very often. And they strike out a lot, even since the break. They've been top 5 in K percentage. And then the Orioles, it's like what's left of them. They still have some good hitters, sure, but this is not a fearsome lineup. So great schedule, both on the road. Yeah, I mean, out of all the players, other pitchers that we talked about here, most of them so far, the top of this list are more than half owned. You know, in a competitive league, 12-team league, they might not be available. So I think Severino is the first, reasonably accessible pitcher that you can almost surely stream that has good matchups here. Soroka would be the other one, but I actually think I would probably prefer Severino.
All right. Well, I already picked him up to stream him this week, so let's go. Let's go, Severino. All right. What about a pitcher facing the Dodgers and the Rockies? Eric Lauer does have great ratios on the season, and he is averaging a K per inning, but he's got to face the Rockies in Colorado, always a little scary. And then, of course, the Dodgers, the Dodgers haven't quite been the Dodgers of the early in the season, right? But Freddie Freeman's starting to heat up a little bit. Shohei is Shohei. I'm not sure if Mookie Betts has done anything yet. So, Eric Lauer, how are we feeling?
Well, if you look at the numbers, you'd think, well, Lauer should be higher than this. I mean, he's been really good all season. Honestly, he has 2.68 ERA, a whip below 1. He just hasn't had hardly any bad outings. And when they're, when he has kind of an off day, they're not really that bad. Get you about a strikeout per inning, good chance to win, right? Being in Toronto, but he's got to be lower because of the schedule. And even though the Dodgers haven't been, their typical selves, it's still the Dodgers. It's still not a great, easy contest for him, and it's on the road. And yes, the Rockies still suck, but it's still in Coors Field. So, Lauer's a guy I could see you might have more confidence in than I do. He does at least face two teams that both strike out a ton. I mean, the Rockies strike out more than any team on the whole season. That's not changing. And the Dodgers, believe it or not, have struck out more than any team since the All-Star break. So it's not a smash spot either way for him. I think he's kind of solidly in the middle. If he's available, yeah, he's fine. I mean, I do have Severino over him just because I do like the schedule better. But Lauer is I guess, definitely safer.
All right, how about a guy who's maybe not safe, but I mean, maybe we should consider him safe. I'm talking about Slade Cecconi, however you pronounce his name. Look, he's got 5 straight starts of at least 6 innings, and he's only really been bad in one of those games. That was against the Athletics, where he gave up 6 earned runs. I mean, every other game, 3 or less earned runs. Yeah, he doesn't give you a ton of strikeouts, right? He had that 1 9-strikeout game against the Astros, but everything else kind of lacking a little bit in strikeouts. The one thing that turned me off about him a little bit this week when I was looking to pick up my 2-star streamers, that first start against the Mets, but then he gets the White Sox. I mean, that could be a great outing there. So is this a more of a 1-star streamer, or you like him against the Mets?
Not so fast, my friend. That's the thing. This is why I got him lower. Cecconi has been sneaky solid as a streamer at the Mets. We know the Mets are good, and they just added help on offense, some small pieces like Mullins, whatever. At the White Sox, we're used to just thinking, okay, smash, right? You start. The White Sox, since the All-Star break, have scored the second most runs in all of baseball, and they have the most home runs. The White Sox are officially not the worst offense in baseball over the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So this actually might be kind of like a trap play, but at the same time, Ciccone has mostly avoided really bad starts. He's been pretty good. I don't love this week's schedule, which is why I got him this far down. It's going to be a tricky week for him. Let's just put it that way.
All right. It's always tricky to start Justin Verlander, but it's never tricky to start a pitcher against the Pirates, who just seem to be like gold for fantasy pitchers. That being said, it's Justin Verlander. He's only gone 6 innings twice in his last, 8 or 9 starts. This is obviously not the Justin Verlander from his prime. Only 77 strikeouts on 89 innings this year with a 4.53 ERA. But the Pirates and the Nationals, that's pretty nice.
It's the only reason he's on here. Like Verlander, if you're in a quality starts league, no, there's no point, right? He's probably not going to go 6, and even if he does, is he going to really hold that team? Okay, well, I guess the Pirates, he might hold them too, whatever. But we're already more than 8 deep here. If you're in a deep league, you need a streamer for 2 starts. Great schedule. Pirates, Nats. Justin Verlander could get you by. And hey, the last 2 starts, he's been pretty good. He's only given up 1 run in each of those. So yeah, maybe he can do it again.
All right, and then finally we got one more for you. Almost a nice round 10, but we got 9 this week. This is, I guess, is your deep league special. There's nothing better out there. How about Bailey Falter? Not really much to say about Bailey Falter here. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Doesn't go deep into games. Ratios are just okay. But he does get the Red Sox and the Twins.
Yeah, you're like, why is he on this list? Look, I put Bailey Falter here because somebody asked, remember this on the trade deadline, somebody asked specifically about Bailey Falter because he got traded. And so I think some people might be curious. Again, if you're in your deep leagues, you're like, what about Bailey Falter? He's with the Royals. I'll put him below all of those other streamers that I mentioned. So I just kind of want to emphasize that he shouldn't be higher, I guess is my point here. Don't get excited. I mean, I know Kansas City is technically better because it's not Pittsburgh. 2 road games. He doesn't get Kauffman Stadium. He does get the Twins in his second matchup. All right. So that might make him a somewhat viable streamer. And the Red Sox haven't been great offensively lately. So the schedule keeps him barely streamable, but just don't expect much.
All right. There you go. What a way to end the 2-star streamers. Barely streamable. Don't expect much. But don't worry. We gave you plenty of good options. Hopefully you don't have to go out 2-star stream Bailey Falter. But look, you probably have way more decisions than just who are you going to stream this week. We got you covered. We're going to start getting to the questions here. And again, need to remind you, if you're impatient, if you don't want to wait in line, you want to jump, get your question answered right away, or you just want to say thanks for all the hard work and everything Pierre does on the channel, drop that super chat. But let's get into it. Pierre, are you ready for this? We're coming. We might have hit the character limit on this one. We certainly hit the caps lock limit on this one. I don't even know how you're going to break this down. But here we go. Big boy trade. All right. He traded Shohei Ohtani. This is Chili Willy, by the way. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Stephen Kwan. So he only gave up 3 players. He got The Miz, Spencer Strider, George Kirby, Will Smith, I assume the catcher, Gunnar Henderson, Kyle Tucker, Jose. Wait, what? Got Kyle Tucker and Jose Ramirez? I mean, okay, he wins.
This is insane. And I'm glad it's easy enough to figure out. I mean, you won if you got the 7 players, right? Is that 7, 8? I don't even know. I think you won because not just through sheer volume, but look, in a points league, Jose Ramirez is actually better than Freddie Freeman. I mean, nobody's Shohei Ohtani, right? But I think Kyle Tucker plus Gunnar Henderson, yeah, I think that makes up for it. And you got 3 pitchers and you didn't give up a pitcher. Clearly you won this. I'm trying to figure out why somebody gave up basically half of their roster just because they're a Dodgers fan or what?
I guess so. They must be. All right. And then I got to bring this up. I didn't even know. No, I didn't watch the Bristol Speedway game. I didn't even know there was a Bristol Speedway game until yesterday. My friend texted me, "Why is baseball playing a game on a NASCAR track? Like what? Like are they trying to be the NHL with the outdoor game or something? But somehow
Yes.
like what? Like the NHL with the outdoor game is a novelty because wait, you can't play hockey. You're not supposed to play hockey outside. It needs to be freezing cold. NASCAR has nothing to do with baseball. Why are they playing on a NASCAR track? What is going on here?
Nothing screams shameless gimmick. Something like this that doesn't make sense. It's a shameless attempt to like cross promote with the sports. So like, hey, look, all you NASCAR fans, baseball is really fun. And hey, baseball fans, look, like, no, nobody wants this. Nobody asked for this. Nobody cares. The only reason I even was aware of it was because of the ridiculous fact that they had to suspend the game because of weather, and they were going to try to play it anyways until finally somebody's like, no, you can't do this. Yeah. This is ridiculous. I will say though, the good thing about today's version of it, Hurston Waldrop looked really good. His first taste of the majors. Talked about him. Wasn't sure when he would get called up. Well, he got called up for this, and not too bad. I mean, I'm not going to go all in yet. Obviously, it's going to be risky with a rookie pitcher, but this guy has a ton of talent, so keep an eye on Waldrop.
All right, and let's go to Keith. Yeah, Kodai Senga has not been the same since coming back from injury. It's been rough. It's been rough. As somebody who was Kodai was carrying me before that injury. All right, but somebody dropped him. So would you drop Jesus Luzardo for Senga, or would you drop Jesus Luzardo for Edward Cabrera, or would you just hold on to Jesus Luzardo?
Oh man. All right, let's address Senga first. This is super frustrating because he's not the same guy, right? And you look at the numbers, you're giving up runs and hits. What I look at first and what concerns me is basically ever since he's come back in July, I'm going to try to tally up here, 13 walks to 16 strikeouts in a total of 16 innings. When you have as many walks, not only as strikeouts, but also as innings almost, something's wrong. That's not good. And this is a guy who, remind you, was one of the league leaders in ERA beforehand. Now, his whip was a little high, and this, he will walk some batters. Like, that's not brand new, but still. This is a sign his command is not back, and this is something that makes me worry. A, there's still something bothering him physically, or actually, no, there's no B. It's got to be it. It's got to be it.
Yeah.
He's had a few games now, right? This is not some mental block. He hasn't been gone for like over a season. He can't be right. And if that's the case, I understand dropping him and maybe just leaving him on the waiver wire. So I would pick up Edward Cabrera is what I would do. I'd rather have him. He actually is pitching well.
All right. You hate to see it, especially when you got Kodai Senga. I might have to bench him until he turns it around. We'll see. I don't know if I can make myself to drop him.
I'm on the fence because normally for tomorrow I do the panic video, and I think this week it's time to just make a cut list again. I'm on the fence. I hate to just say, a pitcher like Senga, just that's it. He's done. We still have a lot of baseball left. You don't have to drop him. But if you're in a situation where look at this player's on the waiver wire, or he's killing me. You know what? So I'm still on the fence here about whether you should do this.
All right, then he also needs a Jonathan Aranda replacement. We got Matt Shaw, Romy Gonzalez, Gleyber Torres, or Luke Keyshaw. Who are you going with?
Well, I love me some Luke Keyshaw. He should be actually a staple in the lineup pretty soon. So I'm going to go with Keyshaw. I mean, I don't know what else they're waiting for. He's still rehabbing. I'm going to go Keyshaw. Let's go with a talent.
All right, and then a guy who is red hot start the year. We're looking like a potential league winner. What are we doing with James Wood? Because James Woods is the actor.
Not the
What are we doing with James Wood? This guy's got 4 hits. Am I reading that right? 4 hits since July 22nd, and none of them are home runs.
He is, man, I don't know. Like there was a body swap during the All-Star break or something. He's not the same guy. Who knows? I don't know what it is. But what can you do? You can bench him. Sure. I don't mind benching anybody. I don't care what their name is. I don't care where you drafted him. If he's 0 for everything for the past 2 weeks, you just bench him until he gets right. Now, you also should know that if you bench him, you risk that when he has that game where he breaks out of it and he has 3 hits or he has 2 home runs or whatever, he was on your bench. But maybe that doesn't offset the fact that you benched him for 6 straight games when you still get 0 for 4. So if you have a suitable replacement, bench him. This is a guy I cannot drop. You can't drop him.
I just looked the last month. He's batting 123 with 1 home run. He has a whopping 4 runs and 4 RBIs over the last month. That is, wow.
It's
brutal.
Well, that's part of the reason why Washington, if you think about it, Washington, they've got a lot of talent on offense. You got James Wood, got CJ Abrams, who is really good. Brady House is there now. He's been performing well. They have young talent. It just isn't all clicking for them. But also, you got to remember, this is a team that, you know what? Now that I think about it, I wonder if this coincides. Remember, they fired their manager and they fired their GM. That's kind of set them back. They've been, ever since then, they haven't got better. They've been worse. So who knows?
All right, and then Ray, what's up? Wants to know in a categories league, who would you rather have? I assume that's Jose Soriano or Yu Darvish.
Well, this will give me a chance to rant against Yu Darvish, who I was so smart and I stashed him and I started him and he was so bad that I dropped him. So of course, what happened? Dominates the Mets for like 7 innings. So I picked him back up. So you know what's going to happen. But look, I'm going to trust Yu Darvish. I'm not saying I'm buying that whatever he did last week, that's it, that he's going to do that the rest of the season. But it's still there. At least it's still there. So let's take a chance on Yu Darvish.
All right, Yu Darvish it is. All right, Carl wants to know, does Logan Henderson stay up? That's first question. Second question is very interesting. Let's go Logan Henderson real quick. Does he stay up? Yes or no?
I wish I knew because, I don't know why he got sent down in the first place. He'd been so good. It's not like they made some major moves here. It's just they have injuries. They've got a lot of injuries. But Miz is on the IL, unfortunately. So I think for now, yeah, he does stay up. But even if Miz, gets healthy and he's good, aren't they going to restrict his innings? Aren't they going to keep him fresh for the playoffs? So I'll be optimistic and I'll say he does stay.
All right, now the second question. He's got Kurtz and PCA. He can only keep one of these guys. PCA would be a 16th round pick, I'm assuming, for next year. Kurtz would be a last round pick. He's in second place. Does he hold tight here or does he try to trade PCA?
Oh, wow. This would absolutely kill me at this decision. You can only keep one.
But that's next year, right? That's the biggest decision right now. Like, do you just keep both? Do you just roll both of them this year and figure it out and like try to win this year?
But that's the thing. Like, okay, but then you're like, yeah, I want to win this year. I'm in second place. And you got both of these amazing players. But then could you turn Nick Kurtz or PCA into another star that maybe is not a keeper consideration? Maybe you turn into, I would only do this, look, because even if you can only keep one of these players, I'm assuming whoever you could trade for, you're not going to be able to keep them over this other player. You see what I mean? So I think I would only consider trading if you get a borderline Godfather offer that you get multiple players, like a pitcher and a suitable hitter to replace. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I just hold tight. I know what you're saying, Chris. And I'm like, look, next year is next year. Let's try to win this year, because if you don't win this year, then how happy? Well, at least I got to keep this player. I'd take the championship. I'd rather have that. Yeah. So I would only trade a guy like Kurtz if you got like a frontline pitcher and a position player. You know what I mean? If it really helped you and put you even in a better position to win this year.
All right, yeah, go win a championship. Go win a championship. Come on, don't think about it next year yet. Go win the championship first. All right, back to back. Saying he started 0-6, climbed all the way back to first place this week. Nice job. And then he wants to know, is Roki Sasaki worth a stash?
No, He's not. Sasaki is a guy who we knew might take time. It was like the worst case scenario. Yeah, when the people were like, I don't know, there's some red flags. Well, yeah, the red flags were all there. I'm glad I only drafted Roki in one league, and I regret even that one. And the only reason I took him was because nobody else was taking him. I'm like, well, I might as well take a chance. No. This guy is going to be great maybe down the stretch. Like, I shouldn't say down the stretch. In the future. I don't mean down the stretch this year. Like, eventually. This year, he's got to stay healthy. First of all, he's got to get healthy, stay healthy, learn to throw strikes. No.
All right. And then we got Uwe2K. What's up? Wants to know, are these guys a flash in the pan or the real deal? Andrew Vaughn. I don't even know who Bernabell is. Colson Montgomery, Lenyon Sosa. And rank them by ad priority.
We have to believe in Andrew Vaughn, right? We have to. He's just so happy to not be with the White Sox. He's so happy. Andrew Vaughn, I'm putting him number 1. Colson Montgomery, number 2. Bernabell, probably a flash in the pan, but look, you got to give the guy some credit, right? Just because he wasn't highly ranked as a prospect, who cares? He's hitting home runs. He's going to play every day. He's in Coors Field. You know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'll put him number 3. But I'm still going to put him behind Colson Montgomery, and then Sosa's 4.
All right. And then Neftali wants you to rate these closers the rest of the season. Trevor McGill, Daniel Palancia, Randy Rodriguez, and Kyle Finnegan.
Well, this is going to be totally flipped from the beginning of the year. Finnegan's last. I think, I think we have to give probably more credence to what Randy Rodriguez has done. I'm going to put him number 1, and I'll put McGill 2, Palencia 3, and then Finnegan 4.
All right, and then N6 RCS, what's up? Would you add a Jordan Beck and drop Spencer Steer? That would give him 3 Rocky bats. No, thank you, on his roster. Or maybe even add Lenny Sosa. 12-team points league.
I don't mind Jordan. Like, would I take Beck over Steer? Yeah, I would. I don't know if I want 3 Rockies, but Beck's not a bad one to have. So, yeah, if I had to pick here just in a vacuum, I would go Beck.
All right, and are we giving up? Is it time to give up on Tanner Bybee?
I don't think so. He's had a rough season compared to the past, but I think he's still going to be at least useful down the stretch.
All right, then Harry Brooks wants to know, is Colson Montgomery a must-add in a 10-team head-to-head points league?
10-team is close, right? It's kind of borderline. I wouldn't say he's a must-add. He's still a strong add, though. In a points league, in the points, we thought this might be one of his weaknesses, was not drawing walks, batting average. It hasn't been. So, and then you talk about underlying data. Yeah, I mean, his walk rate has actually been above league average. The power's there, right? But he hasn't been selling out for power. It hasn't been like all or nothing. His batting average has dipped a little bit, and his walk rate has dipped a little bit lately. So he will come down to earth, but he's not a must-add, but I think he'll still have some value in spots.
All right, then Fantasy Sports wants to know, should he hold on to, I assume, Chase Burns and Seth Lugo, or drop any or either of them for Yu Darvish or Spencer Arrighetti in a 10-team league?
In the 10-teamers where it's close for Darvish, risky. I like Arrighetti. I want to add Arrighetti if I can. I don't know if I'm dropping Burns or Lugo. Burns has that strikeout upside. He was the kind of unfortunate victim of the weather, the Speedway game, right? He didn't get to finish his start. He barely got to start, Lugo's all right. Like, Lugo's fine. I have no idea why the Royals paid him as much as they did. I'm not sure. I don't know what the Royals, honestly, everything they did this year is just like what? I mean, they're really wheeling and dealing like a middle of the pack franchise. It's like, we are perfectly content to be right there in the middle, not be too good and not be too bad, and we want to stay there. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's a 10-teamer. Go for upside. Drop Lugo, go Arrighetti.
All All right, then another one from Neftali wants to know who's worth a hold, if any, Shane Bieber, Pablo Lopez, or Spencer Arrighetti.
I'm not a believer. I'm going to say no to Bieber.
No to the Beebs. You're saying no to the Beebs.
No to the Beebs. And yes to Arrighetti. And yeah, Pablo Lopez still going to be a couple of weeks. So if you can afford to hold him, sure.
All right, and then Craig says he's got to make room for the Miz. So he's got to drop one of Bryce Miller, Spencer Schwellenbach, Brandon Walter, or Luke Keeschel. Who would you drop?
He was nice while he lasted with Brandon Walter. Even if he comes back and is in the rotation again, I think I'd rather keep the.
All right, and then Anthony, what's up, Anthony, wants to know, Romy Gonzalez, worth picking up, especially if Marcelo Mayer is going to be out for a while.
I actually had picked up Romy Gonzalez right before the All-Star break. He was playing almost every day, and he'll still play. He had a really hot week or two, and then it ended. I think he's fine, but there's a pretty hard cap on I think what his upside is. So he's fine to use as a utility player because you can throw him at first base, you can throw him at second base, you can throw him I think almost anywhere in the infield. But he's not a guy who I think we should get too excited.
All right, then back to Neftali wants to know. He says Gleyber Torres is on waivers. Would you grab him and move Jordan Westburg to third base?
He's okay. I mean, is there anybody else on waivers?
I'm sure there's somebody else on waivers. I don't know who. All right. So you don't have to do this apparently. No. All right, Skywalker saying, is Austin Riley going to go to IL with the same abdominal issue? And do you feel confident in him finishing strong in a head-to-head points league?
Is he going to the IL? I don't know. I haven't seen today anything about Riley. I will say, and I've been saying, you just got to worry about this whole offense, this whole team, really. Austin Riley included down the stretch. The Braves, it's just official. They're not contenders, right? I haven't heard anything new on him, so I'm not assuming that there's anything going on here, but
well, he did. So I'm looking. He exited today's game with lower abdominal pain. So either he ate Chipotle yesterday, or maybe he's hurt.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say, right? We would be guessing. So if I guess I'm less confident than I was a couple of weeks ago. Put it that way. I mean, he could still finish strong, but you can't feel great.
All right. Speaking of feeling, how do you feel about Luis Gill's performance today against your Marlins? Got rocked, 5 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings, 4 walks.
I feel like this is why anytime they asked about Luis Gill, I said no. No. He way outperformed his expected stats last year. He was a pleasant surprise. Let's remember why it was such a surprise. He's not supposed to be that great, right? He's fine. I don't want to take anything away from what he did last year. I mean, he was great for a stretch, but yeah, I would stay away.
All right, and then Neftali wants to know, he's heard Chase Burns might get shut down soon. Would you sell high?
I have not heard that. That's one that I don't think would make as much sense. There's some pitchers like Miz, regardless of the fact that now he's on the IL, although you got to wonder, right? Very convenient. He's on the IL, but there's no reason for them to shut him down. He's not like a guy who's had a ton of serious injuries. He's not a guy who I think can go farther in the season. The Reds are still in. They're still in the wild card chase. So no, I'm not selling high on Burns. I mean, I don't know how high you're selling anyways.
All right, Jared has a trade that he went through, wants to know your thoughts. He traded Paul Skeens and Nick Kurtz for James Wood and I assume Hunter Brown. What do you think? He needed outfield help. He's got Yandy and Bush first base as well. So I guess Kurtz is his third first baseman.
So you gave up Skeens and Kurtz to get Wood and Brown? I think that's actually okay because Skeens and Brown, I mean, you're getting an ace either way, except Brown actually has a chance to get a win. I know you were just saying how much nothing James Wood has done, right? Are we really going to assume that over the rest of the season, James Wood is not going to turn it around? He's not going to have any value. He's not going to look. Maybe he doesn't hit as many home runs as Nick Kurtz. Now that seems like a pretty good bet that you would go with Kurtz, but Wood also steals bases and Kurtz doesn't. So I think this is fine because you needed outfield help. So it's a risk, but not a huge risk, and I think it was a smart risk.
All right, then Anthony wants to know, Casey Mize scheduled to start versus the Twins tomorrow. Are you starting them or sitting them?
I mean, the Twins are like the new White Sox, aren't they? You just stream anybody against them. Casey Mize, yeah. The Twins were the biggest sellers, of all, and where they have a lot of gaps now, it's, the rotation partly, but they actually got pitchers back. They trade away a lot of their hitters. They didn't get any hitters back, really. I like Luke Keyshaw, but still, they just don't have a lot of star power. And Buxton hurt. Yeah, I'm definitely starting Mize. I'll start a lot of pitchers against the Twins.
All right, here's an interesting question from TM. Who is the odd man out in the Cincinnati rotation when Hunter Green returns?
Interesting. Yeah, Hunter Green, man, that's really disappointing. He's been out for a while. He finally should be on the way back. I know somebody was asking about Chase Burns earlier. I don't see them bumping him out. It's really annoying. And again, the Reds were the other team. I railed against the Royals earlier, but the Reds are the team that, technically they are in contention for a playoff spot. They did a lot of nothing, even though they did something. They made all these moves that accomplished nothing. It's really confusing. Why did they get Zach Littell? What is he going to do for them? That just makes no sense. So, hey, look, maybe it is Burns. Maybe it's Burns because somebody's got to go. I guess I don't know who else it would be unless they go to a 6-man rotation. That would make sense. But, the Reds, what they've done so far, that hasn't made a lot of sense.
All right. Uwe2K wants to know, would you drop Santillan or Palencia for either or both Rodriguez or Duran?
Well, as good as Palencia has been, yeah. See you later. I'm going to drop both those guys to get both Rodriguez and Duran.
All right. Then Chili Willie, another trade. He traded Corey Seager for Logan Gilbert and Johan Duran. Who won that deal in a points league?
Seager for Gilbert and Duran? Yeah. Seager finally looks like Corey Seager, but I think I'll take the pitcher, the frontline pitcher. A closer not as valuable in a points league, but still, I think you won that trade.
All right, then back to TM. Who would you rather have in a 10-team points league? Luke Keeschel, Colson Montgomery, Xavier Edwards, or Matt Shaw?
I'm all in, and he isn't back yet to prove me wrong. So let's go Keeschel. All right, I'm right until he starts playing again.
True, that is true. All right, Benjamin. So Pierre gave his thoughts on Luis Gil after his first start, but what about Atlas Garcia? Is he back?
Yeah, I know Benjamin keeps asking those outfielders, right? Let's get that tough call, and he's in a 14-teamer. Hey, in a 14-teamer, I think Adelise is fine. Again, he's one of these players that's super frustrating because the surface stats, don't quite match. You keep feeling like he should be doing better. And the power's there, but the average is not. But look, I don't want to get too excited over one good day, but I would hold on to him.
All right, and then you ready for our weekly Joe Boyle question from Brennan? He had a tough outing against the Yankees, but since then he's looked good. What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, now I'm thinking the exact same thing about Joe Boyle. I don't know. No to Joe Boyle. Guys, I know we want to make Joe Boyle a thing. He's not going to be a thing. He's not.
All right, Cerulean Dog, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. All right, if you got Adley Rutschman and you want to get a pitcher, who would you be looking to get in return?
What pitcher can you get for Adley? Look, you got to have realistic expectations. Not just that he missed time, but he wasn't that great before he got hurt. You're talking about a starting pitcher. You're looking more like a number 3 or 4 type of pitcher. Let's see. And again, I'm going to give you names of pitchers I would actually want to get. I'm not going to talk about like Trevor Rogers. Like, sorry, I'm not buying it. Like, I don't think you could get Yuri Perez anymore. Probably not. I don't want like a Michael Wacha. Like, no, I could do better. A Quinn Priester, maybe a guy like that. If you want to take a chance, I don't know what the state of your rotation looks like. If you want to try to buy low on a Kodai Senga, you could, but that's super risky. Could get a Seth Lugo. It's really exciting, but I'm not even sure if you can get that. You know, if you do want to buy low, I actually mentioned this last week. You might want to try to buy low on like a Sonny Gray.
All right, there you go. Good to see you, Cerulean. All right, then Anthony dropping the super chat. He just wants to say thanks for Pierre and Chris going the extra mile, reaching out behind the scenes. Yes, thank you guys. Appreciate that, Anthony. Appreciate all of you, because without you, we couldn't do this. This wouldn't even be possible.
Yep.
All right, back to N6 RCS. His 2 Rocky bats currently are Ezekiel Tovar and Michael Moniak. So would you drop Tovar and Kyle Manzardo, randomly, has nothing to do with those guys, for Linian Sosa and Jordan Beck?
I'll keep Tovar, definitely. I'm glad I did stash him. He's a guy you're like on the fence about. He's got this potential. He's been hurt so much. Yeah, I'm glad I kept Tovar. Moniak, you don't have to keep. Don't drop Tovar. Manzardo, I don't know if you're mixing him up with Moniak, but yeah, look, Lennon Sosa is a guy I kind of have sometimes wanted to be in on, and I want to believe, and then he just goes back to looking, mediocre. I'm not buying in on Lennon Sosa, I guess is what I'm saying. He's just having a nice week. I think you can drop Moniak for Beck, though.
All right, then back to Neftali saying thank you. If he wins his fantasy season as a rookie, he's going to come back here and donate. Not necessary, but we appreciate that. But I know you talked about this guy a little bit. Now I actually know his name. His name is Warming. That's his name? Warming? Yep. Bernabel. That is the most un-baseball name I've ever heard. All right. He's not just warming up right now. He's heating up. He's on fire right now. So how do you feel about it?
Hey, and actually somebody, I can't remember who was, somebody asked about him in the Discord. And I'm like, look, I picked him up in 2 leagues. He wasn't on my radar. He wasn't on anybody's radar. And he's on the worst team in baseball. But look, he's playing every day. In fantasy, or at least I know in Yahoo, he qualifies at both first and third base. He's hitting home runs. He plays in Coors Field. Just buy into it. It happens. Guys come out of nowhere, right? They get their shot and they make the most of it. Next year, probably will go back to doing nothing. All right. Even if he finishes with like 20 home runs from now until the end of this season, he'll do nothing next year, but people will draft him. But who cares? Right now, pick him up, and if he, goes ice cold, then you just drop him.
I think Carl wants to know what relief pitchers might pop up now the trade deadline are done.
Pop up like having value?
Yeah, I assume so. Like who suddenly might get some of those high leverage innings.
Well, the opportunity for some guys that wasn't there before. Number one, the Cardinals, because they traded everybody. Jojo Romero probably will be the guy. If you need somebody for Carl, I don't know if you play in a league that has hold or if it's a points league. If you're just looking for saves, that narrows it down. So I don't want to go too deep here. Yeah, Anthony, that's a good point. Cade Smith, I keep talking about Cade Smith with Clase, not because he got traded, but because he got possibly the ban hammer. Cade Smith should be the guy, but Cade Smith has been a little uneven lately. So Gaddis, that's a good one in Cleveland. Let's see. Who else? Guys that got traded away. I know the Twins, they traded away both Duran and Jax. We don't know who the guy's going to be there yet. That's a situation I would rather wait and see. Like, I don't want to go out and pick up somebody and, have him hurt me and then just have to drop him again. It could be a Topa or a Sands. who gets saves there, but I'm going to wait and see for Minnesota. And honestly, how many games are they really winning the rest of the way anyways? So you have to take that into consideration. And in Pittsburgh, Bednar got traded. Dennis Santana had been great. He had been the guy. And then his first appearance, I think, after the trade deadline, he gave up like 4 runs. Oh, who knows? Maybe they go a different direction. I don't think so. But I actually had stashed Braxton Ashcraft in one league. He may wind up being worthless, but you never know.
All right, there you go. Thank you for that. Back to Jared. He wants to know, rank these 3 pitchers, I guess rest of the season: Gavin Williams, Jeffrey Springs, and Sean Manaea.
I'm going to put Springs last. Gavin Williams is so frustrating.
I want to believe, Gavin. I want to believe.
Just consistency. Let's find it. I'll put Manaea first, then Williams, and then Springs.
All right, then he wants to know, is Otto Lopez a good fill-in for Aranda while he's out? He's got McLean and McLean and Luis Garcia Jr. also available.
Yeah, I would just go Otto Lopez. He's going to get at-bats every day. He gives you a little bit of everything. McLean, yeah, just 2 up and down. He's going to hurt your batting average still. Garcia's okay, but I mean, man, again, that whole offense has been pretty cold. He hasn't done much all year, so I would just go Lopez.
All right, and with that, it looks like we are all caught up. We are coming up on the hour mark, so perfect timing there. Appreciate everybody on here. Of course, don't forget, tomorrow we're going to do a cut list. Is that what we're doing tomorrow? A cut list, guys you can cut?
Yeah, I mean, some obvious names there, some guys who aren't closers anymore, but it goes a little deeper than that. So some of this is like post-trade reaction kind of fallout, but also it's like, look, this is it. It's stretch run. Like, what are you holding on for?
All right, cut list. We got, of course, buy low. Well, trade deadline's coming up too, right? Is this the last week to make trades in fantasy?
Yeah, your fantasy trade deadline may be coming. It, of course, depends on what your commissioner said or how your league is. Different platforms might have different things. I know in Yahoo, a lot of times the default is this week. In our league, actually, I think it's August 7th, if I'm correct. So some of you, this is it. I know a lot of my leagues, this is your last week to make trades. So do what you can.
Do what you can. And, of course, we'll be back here streaming on Wednesday to get you caught up for the week that has been. Answer those questions and get you ready for the rest of the week. Appreciate everybody, of course, being on here. And, Anthony, appreciate you for the super chat and all our loyal viewers. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button if for some reason you haven't already. But we'll see you back here on Wednesday. Good night, everybody.